to address another issue, if I can. The challenge is constantly put out. Prove to me there is a God. That's the challenge of atheists in general. They're quick to challenge the believer and declare that the burden of proof is not on them to prove there is no God, but is on the believer to prove there is a God. Well, this may seem to be rational on the surface. It actually is anything but. The attempts to prove God will always fail, as the unbeliever is anything but rational in his or her thinking. Let me back up that claim. By many atheists' own statements, they have declared that the proof of God's existence is either non-existent or very weak at best. It has been said that the proof needed would be for God to present himself to their face, and even then they would be skeptical because it may be just heartburn or bad weed. And even if he did prove that he existed, they still would not worship him because he is cruel and vindictive, and he allowed slavery. To try to prove something to such a one as this is the very definition of folly. Let's understand that there are many who refuse to believe simply because they do not want to acknowledge one who is greater. Give us evidence is the almost universal cry of the atheist. Yet by their own declaration, any evidence presented is ridiculed and denied. They mock the idea that proof is miracles. And should you say God has performed miracles, they would simply scoff at the idea of a magic God. There are many who do not believe that immunizations are good. They believe that the inoculation for measles is a government conspiracy to control the minds of people, and they refuse to vaccinate their own children. There are those who believe very sincerely that the vapor trail seen in the sky following the jetliners is actually a mind control drug that the government is using on its citizens. There are those who believe that Area 51 in New Mexico actually houses a UFO and the body of an alien, and the government is simply trying to keep us unaware. There are those who actually believe that the moonwalk was a movie staged by NASA in order to keep funding. There are those who claim the Holocaust never occurred. And we could probably go on with generally accepted facts which, even though are well documented as to their truth or lack thereof, are still doubted by many, quote, honest skeptics. How is one expected to prove God when doubters will not even accept the proof of actual events in our own history? To the atheist I reply, I do not have to prove to you that God exists. I merely have to prove to myself, to my own satisfaction, that God is, and that proof has been reliably shown in His Word. I accept that. The fact that you reject that same proof is on you. It is ample evidence to me that your doubts are actually not based upon rationality or a desire to know. You can see the handiwork of God in creation, and instead you prove that all of creation simply, casually, accidentally, randomly sprang up from nothing, or even more convoluted, is simply one of an infinite number of multiverses, and we perhaps are mirrored in another almost similar universe in another dimension. You claim there is proof for evolution, and for all things natural without God, even though the proof you submit must be extrapolated, interpreted, twisted, surmised, guessed, and otherwise manipulated in order to reach the desired conclusions. Atheists will readily accept the brash statement of some scientist who declares there is no need for God, and they will use such statements as their own proof texts for their skepticism. Why will they believe that and deny the statement of another scientist who, perhaps with some temerity, professes a belief that the organization found in creation leads to the necessity of a designer? Because it's not proof the atheists are looking for. It's agreement. I believe that God is proven by the historical record. The Bible has been proven to be accurate in every instance of archaeological records. It is true that modern skeptics are attempting to throw doubt or shade on the very existence of Bible characters such as Moses, Abraham, and even the historical Jesus. But their charges are anything but honest, and their proofs are the most unethical sort. While it is every man's privilege to believe or not, the proof of God is going to be found in the faith of the believer. I can see the working of God in history. I can see God's handiwork in prophecies and in the very events of this day. I see the seasons and the regularity of the tides. I see the beauty of nature and the laws of physics, which display a regularity that is beyond my ken. When one is willing to open one's eyes and to honestly behold the universe and nature and all of history, there is ample reason to believe in God. For me, that's quite enough. For the atheist, there will never be enough proof until they actually meet him in judgment after their death. Then they will believe, but it will be too late. That's my opinion. Thank you.